I see what's in it for the United States on three levels. First and foremost, Saudi Arabia has a geopolitical, geoeconomic, and geo-religious importance that is far beyond its size as a country. Geopolitically, it's at the center of one of the great tests the world is undergoing, which is, can the Middle East ever come together and get beyond, right now, 4 civil wars and sectarian conflict for a more modern and more positive future. Geoeconomically, it's still the place that has all that oil. And where it goes in terms of going toward a transition from a fossil fuel society, and where it goes in terms of the pricing of oil has a lot to do with the U.S. economy as well. And then the third is geo-religious, the custodian of the 2 mosques, the center where everyone comes for Mecca. If Saudi Arabia genuinely turns in the more moderate Islam direction that he is promulgating, that could have consequences that goes across the entire Islamic community around the world, where Saudi Arabia has been, Saudi Arabians, maybe not the government, have been funding a lot of the mosques that are spreading some of the most extremist ideology. He is the best ambassador possible for all the changes he's implementing in Saudi Arabia and the changes he wants to implement. Anyone who's spent any time with him at all is swept away by his energy, by his vision, by his drive to change a country, his feeling that since 1979, Saudi Arabia has been on the wrong track, and that he's going to change that. And I think as much as one reads about it in the newspaper or hears about it on television, nothing replaces seeing the real thing in front of real people. I think it's more than anything changing perceptions. In a lot of people's minds, Saudi Arabia is austere. It's what's behind extremist Islam. In some people's minds, they think about the fact that it was the Saudis, the Saudi citizens that were most numerous in the 9/11 attacks. Well, this is different. And so it's changing, more than anything else, it's changing the narrative. He also learns. He listens. He asks questions. He's going out to Hollywood. He's going to Texas. He's traveling all over the United States. This is a young man in a hurry. And he's coming here both to influence people, to make people think differently about the Saudi Arabia, and to take in some lessons he might be able to take back to Saudi Arabia himself. When people criticize the pace of his reforms, I think about the story about the bicycle. If it goes too slow, it falls over. If it goes too fast, you could crash, it could topple. And he clearly sees the danger more in going slow than going fast. I have likened it also to a speeding train. And that's the way Saudis feel. We were just in Saudi Arabia, and you really had the sense of a society that knew it was on the move. And part of the society really loved the thrill of the ride. Part of the society said, good heavens, this train is going too fast and I have no way to get off, but it's really dangerous. But everyone is exhilarated by it, and it seems as though Mohammed bin Salman lays down new track as he goes and seems to be navigating those sharp turns pretty well so far. Where do we start with the challenges he might face? He has the religious establishment. He has the royal family. He has the fact that this country hasn't moved much in 10, 20 years. He has Iran. He has Yemen. He has part of Congress that wants to legislate action so that people can bring class action against Saudi Arabia on terrorist charges. He has a world of things he's taking on all at the same time. And for me, the biggest question is, do they have the institutional bandwidth to manage it all? He is hugely energetic himself. He has great vision himself. He's brought in a number of young people who are incredibly well educated. So they do have great capabilities, but this is an enormous challenge. As much as you read about change in Saudi Arabia, you really only feel how potentially revolutionary it is and how much it's moved already when you visit. And where you see that the most is on things you never saw before. You see families going to a street festival. We visited a street festival in Wadi Namr where there was a Spanish circus group performing on a lakeside stage. And you had young women who were acting as ushers until late at the night. You have families cheering and smiling and having fun with each other. That's something that wouldn't have been in Saudi Arabia even 1 year ago. The fact that cinemas opened up while we were there, with the first movies being Captain Underpants and the Emoji Movie. Who would have ever thought of that? And that this year you'll have 5,500 events from the General Entertainment Authority, compared to half that the year before and only 67 the year before. And then finally we met with Princess Rima running the General Sports Authority, who proudly had brought women into a soccer stadium for the first time, and she had the banner, the banner before her from the game in back of her desk, signed by thousands of women under the words "Mark your presence." And so there is a lot moving, and anyone who thinks that in this conservative society there's not pushback, they're wrong. But on the other hand, I think at the moment, the Crown Prince and those who believe in him feel that the most important for them is momentum. They're testing the ground. They don't seem to be moving too fast in terms of what sort of movies they show, what sort of entertainment they show, and they're just moving at a speed that they think that Saudi society is willing to accept it.